Hello and welcome to German Suplex with me, Dieter Wegener. And today we are going to look at 5 bold predictions for the world of wrestling in 2023. Now, last year I did this for 2022 and I got 4 out of 5 of them right. I actually did a video on that recently, so that's on the channel if you want to check it out. So this year I've got to go big or go home, right? I think last year I kind of played it safe with some of those predictions and they came true. So this year we're going to go bigger and bolder. So the first one that we're going to start off with is I think CM Punk is going to wrestle in WWE. Now, yes, we're starting big and we're starting bold. The likelihood of this happening is very, very slim. But the fact that people were talking about this in 2022 and no one completely shut it down gives it some credence. Now, CM Punk has obviously left AEW, or that's the word on the street. There's still sort of changing of reports on exactly what's happening in terms of the buyout of his contract, but for all intents and purposes, he's no longer with the company. And then obviously we know what CM Punk is like. He will always want to tell his side of the story, and I think him going to WWE almost allows him to do that and shine a bit of a light on it in the wrestling world. And I think we could potentially get this. Vince is no longer there. Never say never in wrestling. It's always a cliche, but it's very, very true. And there's the one final thing on CM Punk's list that he never got to do when he was there, and that's wrestle a main event of WrestleMania. Now, we have 2 nights of WrestleMania. There's 2 main events. Is that going to speak to Punk? Maybe. If the money's right, we all know he likes money. Let's not be, fools here. So if the money's right, the opponent's right, I think that's the way you could go with it, and that's the way you could almost sell it to Mr. Phil Brooks. Do I think it's likely? I think the possibility is very, very small, but the possibility's there. And if we look at the fact that Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestled, and CM Punk, as we all know, is a huge Stone Cold Steve Austin fan, just think of the shirt he's wearing when he cut the pipe bomb, and the stories of him asking if he could, be stunned by Stone Cold in the back and all of these sort of things. It almost writes itself, right? You have the return that we thought we were never going to get on both sides. We had the return of Punk to AEW, the return to wrestling. We all know what's happened there. He's now gone. We've got the return of Austin, having one last match, and we all thought, what's he going to be able to do? And then he gets suplexed onto concrete 5 minutes into the match, and we go, okay, this is real. We have both of those people in play. CM Punk is, for all intents and purposes, out of his contract with AEW. He wants a way to tell one final story. What better way to do it than make a load of money and wrestle Stone Cold Steve Austin in the main event of WrestleMania? We all know CM Punk is a big wrestling fan, and that, to any wrestling fan, is massive. WrestleMania main event, Stone Cold Steve Austin, doesn't get any bigger than that. So we could see that happen. Then the next one on my list is Sami Zayn beats Roman Reigns and takes double gold. I know people are saying that that's not going to happen. They're going to go down the route of him and Kevin Owens getting the tag belts. But for me, I think Sami Zayn deserves it, right? He was put in a spot with the bloodline. He was only meant to be doing this for a couple of weeks. And look how over it is. This story is the hottest thing in wrestling. If you know me, you know I'm an AEW guy most of the time. Like, I am a Fed guy. I've watched the WWE, WWF for many, many years, always have done. But AEW at the moment speaks to me a lot more. However, this storyline has been outstanding. Week after week, they hit the mark. They hit the mark in the promos and the segments. They hit the mark in the matches. And it's just, everyone's on board, and it's the right thing to be doing. So it's the right thing to then put the belts on Sami. Now, if you know Sami Zayn's career, yes, he's done a lot of work in WWE as a heel, especially on the main roster, but he's a perfect babyface. If you look at the work he did in NXT, you'll know that. You'll know that he can be the babyface that takes the punishment, that takes the heat spots, and then comes back. Gets that fire, and he comes back. He's brilliant at it. Absolutely brilliant at it. And Roman being that dastardly heel for him to just beat him down and beat him down, and Sami to get what he deserves and get at least one of the world titles around his waist would be an amazing story. And WWE always tells us they like to do big stories, and we've got Triple H, head of creative. He's a Sami Zayn guy. He's the one that brought him up through NXT. He's the one that, you know, brought him in, put that title on him down in NXT and pushed him hard, and we've all seen where that's led him. And it's here. Is this the culmination of that moment? I mean, we had Kofi Mania, which felt incredible, but imagine by hook or by crook, Sami takes a big old beating because he does something wrong from the bloodline. He goes on to win the Rumble. There would be nothing like it. There'd be nothing like it that I've seen in many years that people will be behind. And I think Sami Zayn could carry it all the way to Mania. Like, he could carry that story on his back. But you've not just got Sami. You've got Roman Reigns, who is outstanding in his role and has been outstanding for years now. You've got Paul Heyman, who is, I'm a Paul Heyman guy, through and through. You've got the Usos carrying it. You've got so many players in there that can bring something different to this storyline. You've got Kevin Owens. And then just imagine Sami Zayn winning that belt, winning both belts. And you have that moment, and then could Kevin Owens do what he did in NXT and powerbomb him on the ring apron when Sami's having his moment? Imagine that heat. So there's reasons to do it, right? Will they do it? That remains to be seen. But I'm going to say it here. I'm going to say Sami Zayn's going to do it. He's going to go to Mania and he's going to win both belts. Next one, speaking of winning belts, the next one on my list, I think Logan Paul's going to win a title. Now, I don't think it's going to be the world title. I don't think in my, WWE universe, Sami's going to win and Logan Paul's going to beat Sami Zayn. But I do think Logan Paul's going to win a tag belt, a mid-card title. I think he could do this. Like, if you looked at Logan Paul's year last year, it's Rookie of the Year, right? Like, he put on some outstanding performances. Yes, he's injured, his knees exploded, so it would be later in the year when he starts doing this. But I could imagine him coming in and taking the title. Now, I think it's hard because you have Triple H, who's trying to put some respect back on those belts and building them up. So bringing in someone who technically is still a part-timer, very new, putting a belt on him, might detract from that. But I think you can do it in a way that makes it important and makes it a thing that people want, which is why Logan Paul would want it, and he has to earn it. He has to work his way to earning it. He gets a shot and he wins it. And it could be done in a nice way, in a nice fashion. And I'd like to see that. I'd like to see something like that. I do think Logan Paul has done very, very well, and hopefully he'll be utilised again moving forward. So we'll see. Maybe it was the tag titles with Mr. Beast. I don't know. It remains to be seen, but we'll see what happens. And then another one. So another wild pick. So might not necessarily be that wild, but if you love the world of wrestling and YouTube wrestling, you'll obviously know of Simon Miller from What Culture fame. He's doing great things in the indie scene at the moment, and I think this year is going to be the year that we see him in AEW. Now, obviously, AEW is coming over to the UK, so it might be that he wrestles on Dark or like Rampage or Elevation, something along those lines, but I think we see him in that AEW ring, and I think depending on the reaction he gets, he might be utilised even more. So as a Simon Miller fan, I would love to see it. If you guys know him, if you don't know him, go and check him out. I'm assuming that you do. If you're watching my channel, you've probably seen Simon Miller and you know of What Culture because they're a huge channel, especially here in the UK. But hopefully he gets that moment. And I think the UK fans, I think it would be wild if we got a why, here's why, and he comes out. Like, it would be a fantastic moment. I know he brought me back into wrestling as a bit of a lapsed fan, and here I am. Still in his gimmick, I'm on YouTube slapping my head. So hopefully we kind of get that this year. That would be a great thing to see. And then the final one, the one that deep down, I think we've got the biggest shot happening out of all of these. Maybe Simon Miller posts this one, but MJF winning, well, he's won it. He's already won the world title, which is what I predicted last year, but holding on to that belt all year. Holding on to this belt and really building up to the bidding war of 2024. I think if he loses the belt, it diminishes that storyline. And yes, they could have him drop the belt and pick it back up later down the line, closer to the time when his contract's up. But I think MJF knows storytelling and knows the importance of keeping that belt and having an actually long run with it, calling it the Reign of Terror. Very, very clever, very, very good. The play on Triple H's Reign of Terror, of course. But if he holds on to this belt, the closer we get to that bidding war of 2024, you know he's going to do this CM Punk thing of saying he's going to take that belt with him. This is what the Summer of Punk is all about. Summer of Punk happened in Ring of Honor, where he's going to take that Ring of Honor belt to WWE. And then he did it again in WWE, where he's going to take WWE belt and he was going to take it all over the world and everywhere. And we know MJF is clearly a CM Punk fan. We know that MJF likes to pay homages to people he respects in the industry. And I think that's something that we're going to get. Like, he's already started planting those seeds for it. The bidding war of 2024 is a line that you will all be very, very aware of. And I think this year, it's the build-up to that. The closer we get to that, each match has more significance, more importance. Trying to get your hands on that belt, trying to get that to take it off him before he can run away with it, before he can potentially take it somewhere else. That could be at a fever pitch. And all you really need to do there is have faith in MJF that he can have a long run. People will still be on board with it. As a heel, I think he's shown that. Like, people were crying out for him to turn babyface, and he's stuck to his guns and he's remained heel, and now people are really on board with him being a heel again and they're willing to boo him. And he's done that in the space of a couple of months, which is crazy. Such a young guy, such a clever guy. And yes, I am an MJF, penis rider, for lack of a better term, but I do think he's one to watch, and I think over the course of this next year we're going to see it, and we see the belt being defended, going against harder, stiffer opponents. And yes, we've got that already. He's going to Daniel Bryan, hard, stiff opponent, if ever there was one. But I think we keep building and building and building till AEW needs saving by Kenny Omega, and I think that could be one of the best storylines in wrestling if done correctly. A year, 2 years is a long time to build out a story and build out a title run. A year and a half, I think, is when his, contract is up with AEW. So it's a long time to do it, but I think they can do it, and I think he can do it well. If anyone can, it's AEW, Tony Khan, it's the guys at Kenny Omega and the Elite, it's MJF. Those minds around something like that could be the biggest thing in wrestling. So, what do you guys think? Do you think I've got any of them right? Do you think I'm way off on all of them? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll catch up again soon. And thank you for watching German Suplex.